Hey everyone, welcome back to HD Reddit Reads. Today's topic is, what was the most awkward interaction you have ever had with your crush? Let's get into it. We were messaging about homework in our class when he asked me for my opinion on a poem he wrote for his crush. I had some hope that it was me, and this was going to be a cute way for him to tell me. Nope, it was actually a poem for his crush, and he used her name in it. I said it was good enough, though it kinda hurt inside. When I was a freshman in college, there was a crazy hot girl I would have happened to not mind going out with. She was also my little sister's dance teacher. Anyway, we're walking to class, and thinking I would be a chivalrous gentleman, I reached to open a door for her. Except, instead of grabbing the handle, I completely missed and only grabbed air. I managed to catch myself before I got to the ground, but that was the last time we walked to the class together. I was flirting with a guy for like 2 years. It was obvious we liked each other, but something always came up and we never admitted it. Plus, he was kinda hesitant at times. So he finally tells me he really likes me. I say I like him too. We make plans to see each other. I come. The first thing he does without even saying hi, he goes in for a kiss, and as he's coming, I can see it's not gonna go well because he opened his mouth like he was swallowing something huge. So he basically opened his mouth so much that it didn't even touch my lips, but he went around and swallowed 1/3 of my face. So he stayed in that position for a few seconds without moving his mouth at all, and then backed away saying, "Ugh, it's obvious you're not experienced." It was the most awkward thing in my life. We didn't even speak for some time after that, and he told people that I'm a bad kisser. By the way, we're 25. Last weekend, when she went to take selfies with me at my birthday party, and for whatever reason, I always make the weirdest faces when I know my picture is being taken, she got frustrated and just gave up. I'm going to ask her out on Saturday though, so wish me luck. We played Truth or Dare in a large group. 3 guys, 1 girl. All of us guys had a crush on her. At the time I had a goatee and she was dared to lick it, so she used her tongue to draw a wet circle all the way around my mouth. She had really bad breath and I could smell her saliva all day. It was a miserable experience. When I declared myself for her, she asked why I liked her and it was hard for me to explain. After that, she compared to why people like strawberries, that it doesn't have to be a reason. Then, she told me that she liked me only as a friend. My siblings laughed their asses off when I told them this story. So many. I purposely walked to my classes the same routes I knew he would. One had these set of stairs that I would pass him going down while I was going up. One day I zoned out looking at him, and the next thing I knew, I tripped face planting. My stuff went everywhere. An insult to injury, he kept going while laughing at me. Another time I saw him outside at Kmart, only to zone out again and walked right into a pole with my face. He was just as mesmerizing. Seriously, it had nothing to do with the mating call of a socially awkward girl. It wasn't a crush per se, but a guy at a party I thought was cute and had my eye on. It was in my uni days, on a Sunday, and I had been invited to a keg race. Basically, you get a team of 5 to 6 people, a keg, and all go to a house. First team to finish wins, and I don't want to brag, but my team won. So next thing I know, everyone was up on my roof. I'm sitting up there, cut as anything, when the overwhelming need to pee hits. My drunk ass brain thinks, I got myself up here, I can get down too. I go over to the edge of the roof. There's about a half meter between the house and the fence, with some large bins sitting there. Okay, I think to myself, gently make your way down to the bin, use the fence as support, small drop down, we're fine. That was the plan. The execution was that I stepped off the side of the roof, bounced my way down between the fence and the house, and landed in a pile on gravel, right in front of the guy. I remember it clearly. He was just walking, and a drunk girl just falls from the sky right in front of him. He went, "Oh my god, are you okay?" I jumped up, cool as anything, a confused look on my face, and said, "Yeah, of course, I'm fine." As if I do this all the time and it didn't hurt at all. For the rest of the party, everyone kept coming up exclaiming they heard I fell off the roof. I got my friend to pick me up, and had to make him pull over so I could vomit. The next day, I could barely move. Seniors in high school. He's tall, dark, and handsome, slightly moodly. I'm the aggressively friendly soprano. After a fun day together at a choral festival, he was a stage crew, he gave me his number. Called the next day, we spoke for hours. He brought up that he and his dad had moved here from Florida. Me, "Oh really, I always thought the kids would go with the mom in the divorce." Him, "They're not divorced." Me, incredulously, "What, is she dead?" Him, "Yeah." I too died right then and there. I tried desperately to salvage the call, but I ended up figuring that I'd never see him again. Saw him the next day at school. He smiled and patted me on the head saying, "I get it, you had no way to know, we're good." Married for 20 years now. I got paired with the uber hot cheerleader for a chemistry project. I started tapping my pencil against the top of the desk due to nerves. Somehow it flew out of my hand, hit a eraser first, then ricocheted into her eye. She had to go to the nurse and hated my guts, all without me saying a single word. Holding hands on Valentine's Day, 2 weeks ago. But not as you might think. She is just a friend, not my girlfriend, and the situation is by no means a romantic one. I stagger through the door and drop into bed after realizing I'm too drunk to party on, but unfortunately not drunk enough to vomit it all out. I began to question whether the last 4 or 5 shots of vodka were actually a good idea. As I assure my friends that I'm fine and they leave the room to find me a sick bucket, said girl takes a seat beside me. The first thing my hand inadvertently reaches for is her hand, and eventually I start mumbling incoherently about how I like her, how I value her presence and encourage her about the upcoming examination phase. From what I can tell, the poor girl looks worried, but smiles a little. Then I manage to fall asleep holding her hand at 1 a.m. on Valentine's Day. Well, that was definitely worth the following hangover. Need to set the scene a little for this one. Had an awkward will then won't they thing for this lady for like 2 years. She was an awkward, shy type of girl in a really endearing way. I was into her, but never realized she was into me, so never made a move. She was shy and never made a move. We both were in and out of relationships over this period also. We were never single at the same time, so there was never any momentum to get together. It was just one of those things. You're into someone, nothing comes out of it, you move on. She lived with a friend of mine at the time in the house share, which is how we originally met. One night I was drinking with my mate watching movies and she decided to join us, which happened occasionally. Only this time, she was single and I recently, literally a week earlier, became single. 2 years of pent-up emotion, why has this not happened before, sexy time happened that night. Next morning, while still in her bedroom, my ex called me to advise me she had chlamydia and I should go get tested to be safe. Naturally, I was obliged to pass on the message and completely crush this poor girl in doing so. Still makes me cringe a decade later. I've shared this story before, but I still cringe when I think about my first solo date back in high school. I had a huge crush on this girl, thought she was really cool and I loved her art, and I couldn't believe she said yes. We went to the zoo because it was free and we were just broke teenagers and had a blast. Afterwards we went to grab some food at this place before having to split off to go home. Our trains were heading in opposite directions, and at the entrances were across the street from each other, so I walked with her to her side to say goodbye. I closed my eyes and awkwardly leaned in to give her a kiss goodbye, and she went in for more of a hug. I ended up headbutting her in the face and her nose started bleeding. I was so embarrassed and I didn't know what to say, so I just asked, "Are you okay?" She replied, "I think so." Still not knowing what to do, I just said, "Okay, bye," and then ran across the street to catch my train. It was so painfully awkward and embarrassing, I avoided her for weeks after that. There was this really cute girl at a function I was at in college. I got the nerve to ask her out on a whim. To break the ice, I asked her where she went to school. She replied with arbitrary college 2 hours away. I just stared at her and said, "Oh, never mind," turned around and walked away. We were getting married in May. I remember back in, I think, 10th grade. I really liked this girl for at least 2 years. While being the socially awkward virgin I was, I never made a move. She and I were good friends, and one day, in one of our classes, we were joking around for whatever reason. We just stopped talking and awkwardly stared at each other for what felt like an eternity. Finally, we broke eye contact and just went back to normal. What's tragic is homecoming was coming up, and I knew she wanted me to ask her, but I couldn't work up the courage to do it. The class dickhead asked her, and they dated for a while. Last I heard, she got pregnant young by a druggie and lived a rough life for a while. I think she's doing fine now though. Funny how life works, thinking about the paths we didn't take, wondering of what could have been. I asked her out on a date. I went to pick her up and she had another guy with her. He was just a friend who was over. She asked if he could tag along. My young stupid self said sure. We get to the theater, he had no money, so I stupidly paid. We sit down, movie starts. I go to hold her hand and she pulls her hand away and starts making out with him. I sat there in shock for a few minutes, then I got up and left. I was their ride and they had no money to call anyone. She was pissed at me. They ended up walking home, which was a few miles away. When I had a crush on my current girlfriend, she was living with her parents. We were in high school and she was lending me a movie to watch. We had a senior day at an arcade and she gave me the movie then. She reached into her purse and grabbed it out. I was already kind of awkward, but we hugged and I left. I took the movie and threw it on my car's passenger seat. It rattled like candy in a box, so I took the movie out of its case and found her birth control. I knew what it was, and I called her and played dumb. Her friends laughed hysterically, and I just said, "Here's your drugs." Both of our faces were red, and we walked away quickly. Looking back, it's hilarious though. Or at prom, we played a game called Paranoia, and we weren't really going with anyone, but the game is played by asking someone next to you a question that they answer out loud, and then you flip a coin. If tails is up, you reveal the question. So in my case, I was asked, "Who would you have toss your salad?" And I said my crush, even though I had no idea what the saying meant. It was tails. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you want to visit the original thread, I'll link it in the description. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.